Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship at Stony Brook, located on the ancestral lands of the Settlecott people. I am Millen Bartley, and I am so happy to be serving as your worship associate this morning as we welcome Reverend Kimberley Quinn-Johnson as our service leader. Our Director of Religious Education is Deb Little, and our musicians this morning are Peter Winkler and Dee Dee Cook. Whether you are here in our sanctuary or attending online, we are one congregation worshiping together. So let's all say hi and wave to the folks at home. The camera is on your left. A special welcome to those of you who are here or visiting for the first time. We are so glad to have you here, and we look forward to getting to know you during coffee hour. If you're comfortable doing so, would you raise your hand so we can see you and be able to find you later during coffee hour? Welcome. For those of you who are online, if you sign off after the service and return to the website, you will find the link for joining our small group chats. Whether here or online, you will find some friendly folks who can help answer your questions or point you to someone who can. Marie Boss will share some thoughts about our Burn the Mortgage campaign.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. I am here to talk about the Burn the Mortgage. Of course, I can't find my notes, but also I'll ad-lib. I've been rehearsing it for hours. So the first thing I'd like to say is, since we sent the letters out, we have an additional $14,000 raised. And so for a total of $68,000. So we only have $22,000 more to and we'll be able to burn the mortgage. It will put us in a great financial position. When I first said I would do the UU Minute, I really feel I should speak from my heart. I've been here since 1980, and I came with my kids, my husband. We all had a wonderful experience here. I felt it was a really very life-affirming experience. I was here, I served in many capacities since I've been here. I've been former president, vice president, chair of many committees, chair of the Canvas Committee, and I really feel that I gave some contributions of worth to the fellowship. But what I really want to say is that whatever you give to the fellowship, you get back in spades. When my back went out in 2012, I was paralyzed for 6 months, and you were here for me. You really helped me through everything. When my dear husband died, you were here for me. He died just last year, so you were here for me. His comment is, you need to pay it forward. This fellowship was here for us when our kids were growing up, for us in all of our aspects of our life. To pay it forward, when you can't give a lot in the beginning, we believe that when we got in a better financial shape, we should give more. And I hope that all of you can look in your hearts and contribute to this very worthy cause. It will put us in a very good financial position, and it'll be here for others like it was here for us. And I think that is what we need to keep in mind. We need to have it here for others. Thank you.
Please silence your phones as we enter into the sacred space of worship with the sounding of the morning bell. Marie Baltz will light our chalice this morning. The chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalist faith. Let us contemplate these words by John Gibb Malsbar as Marie lights the chalice. Leave aside the little thoughts that distract you from the depths of your soul, for this is a holy place, and now is a holy time. Join with the others in this room, this community of seekers, and together, let us find our Sabbath. I invite you to rise in body or spirit for our first hymn, number 188 in the gray hymnal, Come, Come, Whoever You Are. Peter and Dee Dee will play it through once, we will sing it in unison once, and then we'll sing it as a round. Choose your favorite part. Dee Dee will signal us when to end, and we'll end by repeating the fourth line until she tells us to stop.
Welcome, beloveds, on this beautiful day. We're blessed, in my humble opinion, to have the Reverend Kimberley Quinn here to preach, and her topic is one about which I need an answer. Now, I will be in back with the children, so I have to rely on all of you to tell me the answer after service, okay? So her question is, why don't we share the good news about our faith? My Time for All Ages this morning cannot answer that question, but it does offer a cautionary tale about the consequences of denying and hiding what you love. Here's a hint. When you hear the words lima beans, think Unitarian Universalism. This story is called A Bad Case of Stripes. So, Camilla Cream loved lima beans, but she never ate them. All her friends hated lima beans, and she wanted to fit in. Today, she was fretting more than usual. It was the first day of school. She tried on 42 dresses, which is way too many. But she found one and put it on and looked in the mirror. And then her mother came running in, and she went, "Ha! Oh my heavens," she cried. "You're completely covered with stripes." This was certainly true. Camilla was striped from head to toe. She looked like a rainbow. Mrs. Cream felt Camilla's forehead. "You get back in bed this instant. You're not going to school today." Camilla was relieved. She was afraid of what the other kids would say, and she had no idea what to wear with those stripes. That afternoon, Dr. Bumble came to examine Camilla. "Most extraordinary. Are you having any coughing, sneezing, runny nose, aches, pains, chills, hot flashes, dizziness, drowsiness, shortness of breath, or uncontrollable twitching?" "No," Camilla said. "I feel fine." "Well then, I don't see any reason why you can't go to school tomorrow. Here's some ointment to help clear up those stripes. If they don't clear up, you know where to reach me." The next day was a disaster, as you can imagine. Everyone laughed at Camilla. They called her Camilla Crayon and Night of the Living Lollipop. She tried her best to act as if everything was normal, but when the class recited the Pledge of Allegiance, her stripes turned red, white, and blue, and she broke out in stars. Now, the other kids thought this was great. "Let's see some purple polka dots." Sure enough, Camilla turned all purple polka dotty. Soon everyone was calling all kinds of shapes and colors, and Camilla was changing faster than you can change channels on a TV. That night, the principal called and told Mr. Cream to keep Camilla home from school. Parents were complaining and afraid that Camilla was contagious. "I'm sorry, honey," said her dad. "Is there anything I can get you?" Camilla said, "No, thank you." What she really wanted was a plate of lima beans, but she had been laughed at enough for one day. Dr. Bumble came back to Camilla's house the next day and brought 4 specialist doctors who poked and prodded and jabbed and squeezed poor Camilla. They gave Camilla a bottle of multicolored pills and told her to take one of each color before bed, and then they left. In the morning, Camilla felt terrible. She looked in the mirror and saw a giant multicolored pill with her face on it. Dr. Bumble rushed to the house, and this time he brought the experts. "Virus?" said one expert. Suddenly, little fuzzy balls appeared all over Camilla. "Bacteria?" said another, and suddenly out popped squiggly bacteria tails. "Yuck." "Fungus," said the last expert, and Camilla was covered in fungus blotches. Think lots of mushrooms. The experts didn't have a clue. The word spread, and soon Camilla's lawn was covered and filled with newspaper reporters and TV cameras. All kinds of doctors and experts came to offer advice. Even a veterinarian came, and his advice made Camilla sprout feathers and a long furry tail. Mrs. Cream began to sob. At that moment, there was a quiet knock on the door. Mr. Cream opened it, and an old woman wearing a red and white polka dot dress said brightly, "Excuse me, but I think I can help." She walked into Camilla's room and said, "Oh my, this is a bad case of stripes." She pulled a container of small green beans from her bag. "Here," she said, "these might do the trick." "Are they magic beans?" "Oh, I know, there's no such thing. These are lima beans. I bet you'd like some." "Yuck," said Camilla. "No one likes lima beans." "Oh dear," said the old woman. "I guess I was wrong about you." She put the beans away and started for the door. "Wait," said Camilla. Truth is, I love lima beans." "I thought so," said the woman. She popped some beans into Camilla's mouth. Suddenly, the feathers and the squiggly tails began to disappear. The whole room swirled around. And when it stopped, there stood Camilla, back to normal. After that, Camilla wasn't quite the same. The other kids still thought she was weird. She ate all the lima beans she wanted, and she never had a touch of stripes again. So, don't forget to eat your lima beans. Amen. And now I would like to invite you all to sing the children out to their classes. Susan is teaching the kindergarten through 4, and she's going to the door. And Carrie and Jamie are teaching the middle school class, and they're going to the door, so kids, you can join them. And everyone look to the Reeb Children's Benediction, which is in the very last page of either hymnal. And Peter, you can start. Thank you.
Our reading this morning is from the Reverend James Luther Adams, one of our great Unitarian Universalist ministers and theologians. He wrote this in 1975, and it is the postscript to his book, The Prophethood of All Believers. I call that church free, which enters into covenant with the ground of freedom, that sustaining, judging, transforming power, not made with hands. It protests against idolatry of any human claim to absolute truth or authority. This covenant is the charter and joy of worship in the beauty of holiness. I call that church free, which in covenant with that divine community-forming power brings the individual, even the unacceptable, into a caring, trusting fellowship that protects and nourishes his or her integrity and spiritual freedom. Its goal is the prophethood and the priesthood of all believers, the one for the liberty of prophesying, the other the ministry of healing. It therefore protests against the infringement of autonomy or participation, whether it be in the church, the state, the family, the daily work or lack of it, or in other social spheres. I call that church free, which liberates from bondage to the principalities and powers of the world, whether churchly or secular, and which promotes the continuing reformation of its own and other institutions. It protests against routine conformity or thoughtless nonconformity that lead to the deformity of mind and heart and community. I call that church free, which in charity promotes freedom in fellowship, seeking unity in diversity. This unity is a potential gift sought through devotion to that transforming power of creative interchange and generous dialogue. But it will remain unity in diversity. I call that church free, which is not bound to the present, which cowers not before the vaunted spirit of the times. It earns and creates a tradition binding together past, present, and future in a living tradition, in tether in a continuing covenant and identity, bringing forth treasures both new and old. God speaks and God has spoken. I call that church free, which is not imprisoned in itself or in a sect, in loyalty to its own historic character and norms. It is open to insight and conscience from every source. The church that would be free yearns to belong to that universal church, Catholic and invisible. But the church is never wholly free. It tolerates injustice, special privilege, and indifference to suffering, as though it were not accountable to a tribunal higher than the world's. It passes by on the other side, thus breaking the covenant. In the midst of this unfreedom, the congregation comes together to adore what is holy, to confess its own brokenness, and to renew again and again its covenant. I call that church free, which does not cringe in despair, but casting off fear is lured by the divine persuasion to respond in hope, to the light that has shone and still shines in darkness.
Let us enter into our time of meditation. We will begin with words from Lisa Garcia Sampson, and then we will have a moment of silence. Peter and Dee Dee will bring us out of meditation with number 1003 in the Teal hymnal, Where Do You Come From? Number 1003. If you're not familiar with it, you may want to open to it now. Peter and Dee Dee will play it through once, we'll sing it in unison once, and then we'll sing it in a round until Dee Dee once again brings us to an end. I invite you to take these words into your meditation. Ours is the work of creation. Ours is the work of inviting people into an irresistible movement, rooted in our belief that a new world is possible, and the center of our work is love and joy and spirit in abundance. At each service, it is our spiritual practice to take a collection which we share with a local organization working for social justice. And given the current election season, it is only appropriate that our Share the Plate recipient for September is the League of Women Voters. This is an interleague organization that educates and advocates for topics of county-wide importance and conducts voter services on the county level and is actively involved in following county government issues. This is a nonpartisan political organization. They never support or oppose any political party or candidate. However, they do study and then advocate for or against particular policies in the public interest. They actively work to register new voters. By supporting them, we will each be answering the call to do something truly consistent with our UU values and principles. So now is surely the time to give as generously as you are able. It is my honor to introduce our guest minister this morning, and we are fortunate that this is not a one-time visit. Reverend Kimberley will be joining us a few more times this fall. She currently serves as the minister of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the South Fork on Long Island in Bridgehampton. She serves on the organizing collective board for Blue Lives of Unitarian Universalism, on the boards of the UU Service Committee and the UU Women's Federation. She is a member of the board of the St. Lawrence Foundation for Theological Education, New York UU Justice, and the Steering Committee for UU Class Conversations. Before ministry, Kimberley worked as a union organizer with the UAW. She continues to teach women's and gender studies at New Jersey City University.
I am delighted to be here. Make myself comfortable. I'm trying to decide if I actually need to stand on the riser, but I think that we'll be okay. So I'm excited to be here, and I am excited to dig into this question of why there aren't more people here, though here there are more people than I might find in my congregation. But I do wonder if you also sometimes ask yourselves or ask each other in a kind of bewilderment, this place is so amazing. Why aren't there more people here? Something happened to me a couple weeks ago. So one of the practices that I took up post-pandemic, or really during the pandemic, was walking to the ocean. I live pretty close to the ocean out in East Hampton. And I sit and I watch the waves and I meditate or listen to music, but enjoy my solitude. And so one morning I'm sitting out and I'm having my morning practice, and I do see a woman go by with her dog. That is not unusual. But sometimes I can be out here for quite some time. And so when I notice this woman is coming back in my direction with her dog, I think, okay, I've been here too long. And so I start to get up and start to walk away, and something told me to turn around. She had been trying to get my attention. And when she did, she leaned in and she said, I hope you don't take offense, but can I pray for you? Something is telling me that I should pray for you. And so I can imagine the trepidation on her part, I hope you don't take offense. But I told her, I don't take offense at all. That's actually what I'm doing out here. I'm praying and meditating. I'm a minister of the Unitarian Universalist congregation. She gets excited. She does indeed pray for me. And then she starts to invite me to her congregation. She tells me about Wednesday night Bible study. She tells me about this other program that they're doing, what time they meet on Sunday mornings. And I am delighted. I tell her something, oh, maybe I'll check it out. I know that I won't check it out, not because I'm not interested, but because I know that I don't have time. And then, as I'm walking away, I'm thinking to myself, I can't imagine anybody in my own congregation making those same invitations. And it's not because we don't have things going on. I can't imagine that they would stop a stranger or a friend and invite them to our home. So why don't we do more of this? Perhaps, I think, when we imagine an evangelist. Occasionally, I'll talk about Unitarian Universalist evangelist, and folks will turn up their nose. Oh, no, that's not me. That's not us. We imagine somebody like Carrie Nation. Carrie Nation, if you are a history buff or a feminist, right, that 19th century prohibitionist who inspired signs that said, all nations welcome, except Carrie. Or maybe you imagine the door-to-door Jehovah's Witness or the Mormons, or the more sedate Fruit of Islam, selling bean pies, or the Final Call, or televangelist, Jim Baker and Tammy Faye, right? The makeup, the big hair, who by the end of their career became a bit of a joke for people. Evangelists, we think, are those people, not us. We are more contained people. We let our actions speak louder than words. Or maybe like our story, we are worried what others might think of us. So worried what others might think of us, we are unable to be ourselves. My lima beans are beets. As a child, I didn't like beets, and so as an adult, now that I enjoy them, I don't run around telling people about it. As a young person, I was vocally anti-church, anti-organized religion. I went because my parents made me, but they knew. And anybody who would listen, asking or not, knew that I didn't want to go. And so, years later, when I'm going to church and I'm joining committees at church and I'm doing religious education at church, and then, oh my word, I'm going to seminary. How could I tell people? Remarkably, when I did tell people, almost all of them said, "Oh, you're finally doing that?" But we don't tell people. There is one reason that I am embarrassed to say does keep me from inviting people to our congregations. While I'm totally happy to tell people anywhere I go that I am a Unitarian Universalist minister, I don't invite my friends often to our congregations. And not because I don't think that they won't find a welcoming word here. It's because what also I think they will find here. Did somebody whisper racism? Did I hear somebody say that? It is, though, the subtle racism that we find in the congregation. Not explicit. Nobody's like standing at the door telling people they can't come in. But it is the mistaking one for another. It's the conversations that are only ever about gospel music or black singers or athletes. It's just the discomfort of being the only one or one of two or three. Or it's the religious intolerance. Most of my family are Christian. Would they feel welcome here in their belief in Jesus? In the exuberant way that they want to worship? In the ways that they talk about God and God's power in their life? I don't always think so. And so I don't invite them. Or maybe it's just the sometimes cliquishness that we find, where we chat with our friends at coffee hour. Understandable, we like our friends. We may see them only once a week. Or the assumptions that we make about who is the we. The insiderness that we find in our acronyms, and the taken for grantedness of our opinions and our politics and our class. There are ways that we are not welcoming that make me reluctant to invite my friends and especially my family. But then on the other end of the spectrum, sometimes we, and myself included, are reluctant to go out and spread the good word, the gospel, to evangelize, because we don't want to proselytize. We don't want to be too pushy, and for good reason. Many of us are coming from a personal history, a church history, a cultural, social, family, community history, where we have rejected the idea of one single truth, one single way of being. What is truth? What is the truth for pluralistic faith like this one? For people who do not proclaim one single understanding of the way the world is, who embrace a diversity of beliefs and perspectives. Do you know the joke about what do you get when you cross a Jehovah's Witness with a Unitarian Universalist? Somebody who knocks on your door and doesn't have anything to say. But evangelizing is not the same thing as proselytizing. Proselytizing, trying to convert someone to your way of being or thinking, to convince them to jump to your ship, that your way is the right way. Be it religion or politics or diet. I get it. I get unsolicited advice all of the time. I actively steer away from other people's vitriolic opinions, especially right now in this political climate. And I don't want to contribute to that noise. But how about this? If you find a good sale or a great movie or TV show, a park, a hiking trail, the vacation spot that you discovered, would you tell people about it? Would you share the good news then of this amazing life-saving faith? If we would tell people about a sale, about a movie, why wouldn't we then tell people about this amazing, for some people, life-saving community? Evangelism, sharing the gospel, not sharing the truth. We sometimes act as if the gospel is the truth. We say it all the time, it's the gospel truth. But the etymology of that word is something different. What it really means is good news, God's spiel. The gospel is the good news. It's not to pressure people to become Unitarian Universalists, or even necessarily to join us on a Sunday morning, though I bet we would love for them to join us on a Sunday morning. To share the gospel, though, is an invitation open to be accepted or not. And we make our invitations in our words and our actions. Sometimes we share the good news of the amazing sale or vacation or book or movie or TV show. But have you ever had this other experience where you have found a new beauty product? This is not gender specific. Or a new exercise routine. You've taken up yoga or swimming or running or cycling or sleep. You have made an adjustment to your diet. You are getting rid of meat or gluten or dairy. You're drinking more water, vitamins, probiotics, whatever it is. You have made a change in your life and you feel amazing and you look amazing. You are beautiful and confident and content and peaceful and at ease, and your friends and coworkers say, "You look great. What is your secret?" Do you tell them? Or do you keep it to yourself? Of course you tell them. So then, why would we not share the secret of this thing that has brought peace and contentment and beauty and community and ease to your life? There is one more reason that I suspect may be true for some of you. Because even if we have gotten over the hurdle of being embarrassed about saying it out loud, and we have steeled ourselves to make a comfortable place for our guests, and we are willing to go out and tell people, and we knock on that door, and they open it, and we just don't know what to say. Because what can you say about a faith that is pluralistic, that doesn't have one single truth, one single belief, one single creed, so many different perspectives? And so I'm looking at my time, but I'm going to do this anyway. I want you to try something with me right now. I want you to think about two questions. Wait, that's two. Two questions and an invitation. Like two truths and a lie. Two questions and an invitation. Who are we? Can you say that for yourself in a sentence? Can you answer that? Who are we? What do we have to offer? And how would you invite somebody to be a part of that? We have been doing our Unitarian Universalist elevator pitches in my own congregation. And here is what I came up with for who are we, what we have to offer, and an invitation. Yours will be different. Love and connection is at the center of what we do. We are all connected to each other and to the earth itself. And because of that, we work for justice and equity, grounded in love. I would love for you to come and check us out one Sunday morning. 3 sentences. I would love for you to come and see for yourself one Sunday morning. I hear so many stories, more than most, about what this faith has done for folks. From the queer youth who has found acceptance, from the parent of a trans child who has found understanding and a community and support, from an incarcerated person who has found forgiveness and hope, from the person struggling with addiction or depression, who has found a kind heart and an open mind. I have heard the stories. I have my own story. This faith that offered me a way back into myself when I didn't even know that I was lost. This faith that reminds me every week, every month, every day, what is possible. The best the best of what people can be. This faith that challenges me every week, every month, sometimes every day, to be the best of who we are meant to be. I imagine that you have your own story of why you are here, of what you have found, of what we have to offer. And so my charge for you is to tell your story, to let your life be a testimony, to let your life be a testimony so beautifully lived that people ask you, what's your secret? And when they don't, let your words share the good news of what we have here. Will you rise with us together as you feel able and willing to join together in our final hymn? It's 121 in your gray hymnal, We'll Build a Land. Our benediction this morning comes from another of our Unitarian Universalists, this one a Universalist preachers, Theodore Parker. Be ours a religion which, like sunshine, goes everywhere. Its temple, all space, its shrine, the good heart, its creed, all truth, its ritual, works of love, its profession of faith, divine living. I don't know what happens next.